morning. We thank you for your patience. This begins our last Finance Committee hearing for the season. Therefore, we have 13 bills, so we would like to get started. We have a quorum. To my left, Councilman Greenlee. To his left, Councilwoman Blondell Reynolds Brown. To her left, we are asking Derek Green. He has agreed to be appointed part of this committee for our quorum. And to my right, Councilman Dom. So that will give us a quorum, and we will begin. We will ask the clerk to read the title of, we should try to do then the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The first 5 bills, we'll ask her to read the title of them. We'll ask our city treasurer, Rashia Johnson, to come forward. And again, we thank you all for being here. This should move very quickly, everyone.
190229, an ordinance authorizing and approving certain additional projects designated by the City Director of Finance to be financed by the Philadelphia Municipal Authority with remaining proceeds of said authority's City Service Agreement revenue bonds, Series 2014B tax exempt, and authorizing and approving the undertaking by the city of all necessary steps to accomplish the intent and purpose of this ordinance. 190432. An ordinance constituting the 7th supplemental ordinance of the amended and restated General Airport Revenue Bond Ordinance, authorizing the mayor and the city controller and the city solicitor, or a majority of them, to issue or sell one or more series or subseries of tax-exempt or taxable airport revenue bonds or notes of the city of Philadelphia, some or all of which may be used for the implementation of a revolving commercial paper program, setting forth the use of proceeds, determining the sufficiency of pledged amounts available for debt service, covenanting for the payment of interest and principal, authorizing the bond committee to take certain action with regard to the terms and conditions of the airport revenue bonds or notes and related agreements, and the elections under the amended and restated General Airport Revenue Bond Ordinance, authorizing the Director of Finance to take certain actions with regard to the sale of such airport revenue bonds or notes, the investment of proceeds thereof, and the city's continuing disclosure obligation, and specifying applicability of sections of the First Class City Revenue Bond Act and the amended restated General Airport Revenue Bond Ordinance. 190433, an ordinance constituting the 18th supplemental ordinance to the amended and restated General Airport Revenue Bond Ordinance, authorizing the mayor, the city controller, the city solicitor, or a majority of them, to issue and sell one or more series or subseries of tax-exempt or taxable airport revenue bonds or notes of the City of Philadelphia, setting forth the use of proceeds, determining the sufficiency of pledged amounts available for debt service, covenanting for the payment of interest and principal, authorizing the bond committee to take certain action with regard to the terms and conditions of the airport revenue bonds or notes and related agreements, and the elections under the amended and restated General Airport Revenue Bond Ordinance, authorizing the Director of Finance to take certain actions with regard to the sale of such airport revenue bonds or notes, the investment of the proceeding thereof, and the city's continuing disclosure obligation, and specifying the applicability of sections and the First Class City Revenue Bond Act and the amended and restated General Airport Revenue Bond Ordinance. 190439, an ordinance authorizing the city treasurer on behalf of the city to enter into an amendment agreement with Citizens Bank of Pennsylvania for provision of payroll banking services to the city under certain terms and conditions. And 190442, an ordinance authorizing the city treasurer on behalf of the city to enter into a provider agreement with U.S. Bank National Association for the provision of custodial banking services to the city of Philadelphia, office of the city treasurer under certain terms and conditions.
Thank you very much. Again, we thank all of you for being here. We will call on our city treasurer and ask her to introduce those who are with her this morning.
Good morning. My name is Rashia Johnson, city treasurer, and this morning with me is Christian Dunbar, Deputy City Treasurer for Debt and Management, as well as Raymond Hale, Deputy City Treasurer for Banking and Investment, as well as Tracy Border, CFO at the airport.
Thank you. Feel free to begin your testimony.
Okay, so just read 5 bills. I can read all. I've submitted separate testimony for all 5. I could read them or either just summarize them.
Summarizing is fine.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, good morning, Chair Blackwell, members of the Committee on Finance. Again, I'm Rashia Johnson, and with me this morning, Christian Dunbar, Raymond Hill, as well as Tracy Border. And I'm here to testify in favor of bill numbers 190229, 190442, 190433, 190432, as well as 190439. Again, I've submitted my testimony, and I'm happy to answer any questions with regards to those bills.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Councilman Dom?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning. I do have a question on the 4601, the first bill, 190229. I was wondering what the amount of proceeds that remains on that 2014 bond.
The remaining proceeds are approximately $12 million.
12 million? And was the original bond about 60 million?
That's correct.
And have we started paying the interest payments on that bond yet?
The debt service, yes.
We started?
Yes.
How much are so we borrowed 60 million, and what is the interest payments on that 60 million?
If I'm not mistaken, it was a 20-year,
It's a 20-year bond?
that's correct.
And we started paying those payments, or we start soon, or when do we start making that payment?
We've started making debt service. I think this year was the first year we've made debt service payments, but I can confirm that.
This year, okay. And then, do you know how much we're going to be paying in interest over 20 years?
Not off the top of my head, but I can get that.
From my recollection, it was about 40 million. I just want to bring this up because I want to make sure we borrowed 60, the interest is going to cost us 40, the total cost is 100. We have 12 million left of principal, right?
That's correct.
But when you attach the interest cost to that 12 million, it's really going to probably cost us another, $8 million of interest. It's about 20. Why wouldn't that money be used for the Inquirer building, which was the original intent of that bond for the headquarter police station?
I'm sorry, would you say what?
Why wouldn't the remaining proceeds of 12 million be used for the new police headquarters on North Broad Street?
Because these are tax-exempt dollars, and for them to remain taxable per our bond council, they have to be used for good capital uses of the city. And the way that the 400 North Broad is structured, you can't use it for that right now.
Okay. And for this $12 million, have we done any kind of cost-benefit analysis on how we're going to spend this money as required by that Philadelphia Code 21-2200? And then can you provide that to the committee?
You mean cost-benefit analysis with regards to?
We're supposed to do a cost-benefit analysis for capital expenditures according to the Philadelphia Code. And my question is, on this $12 million, has that been done? And if it has been done, can that be provided to the committee?
I can check with capital on that.
Okay.
We can check with capital on that.
You get back to us, okay. So I guess my point is that we borrowed 60 for 46 in Market. The interest payment started this year. It's going to go out 20 years. It's going to cost us $100 million. We are selling the building, I think, for $10 million, and we have $12 million left over that we can use for other projects.
Good capital projects, that's correct.
Okay. So I'm just looking for what the cost-benefit analysis will be for that $12 million.
Okay.
All right, and I'm asking these questions because if we are more careful with these investments, I think we'll be more careful with the money. Because 46 in Market was a huge loss to the city, huge. Anyway, thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chair.
Thank you, and thank you for the questions, Councilman Dom. That whole project, that wasn't my idea, helped cost me a lot, too. Any more questions for any of these bills? Thank you very much. We thank you all.
Thank you.
Bill numbers, the chief clerk will read the title for bill numbers 190383, 190384, and 190385, And we will ask Doug Moser, Executive Vice President, Acting COO, BGW, and Jamela McClendon, Executive Director, Philadelphia Gas Commission, to come forward. Clerk?
190383, an ordinance approving the amendment of the fiscal year 2019 capital budget, providing for expenditures for the capital purposes of the Philadelphia Gas Works, including the supplying of funds in connection therewith, subject to certain constraints and conditions, and acknowledging the receipt of the revised forecast capital budgets of fiscal years 2020 through 2024 as amended. 190384, an ordinance approving the amendment of fiscal year 2018 capital budget, providing for expenditures for the capital purposes of the Philadelphia Gas Works, including the supplying of funds in connection therewith, subject to certain constraints and conditions, and acknowledging the receipt of the revised forecast of capital budgets for fiscal years 2019 through 2023 as amended. And 190385, an ordinance approving the fiscal year 2020 capital budget, providing for expenditures for the capital purposes of Philadelphia Gas Works, including the supplying of funds in connection therewith, subject to certain constraints and conditions, and acknowledging the receipt of the revised forecast of capital budgets for fiscal years 2021 through 2025.
Thank you very much. The chair notes that Councilwoman Sherelle Parker is present. We thank her. And again, we say good morning. Identify yourself for the record and begin your testimony.
Good morning, Chairwoman Blackwell and members of the committee. My name is Jamela McClendon, and I am the Executive Director of the Philadelphia Gas Commission. The Gas Commission appreciates the opportunity to testify in support of Bill number 10385, approving PGW's fiscal year 2020 capital budget, Bill number 190384, amending PGW's FY 2018 capital budget, and Bill number 190383, amending PGW's fiscal year 2019 capital budget. As I have filed detailed written testimony on all three bills before you today, with your permission, I will address all three bills at once in these comments. I would also respectfully request that this committee to report out all three bills with favorable recommendations, together with a suspension of the rules so that they may have their first reading at the next council session. With regards to Bill number 190385 and PGW's 2020 capital budget, PGW originally submitted a proposed budget of $149,656,000 and a 5-year forecast of capital budgets covering fiscal 2021 to fiscal 25. The Gas Commission performed its due diligence, review, and evaluation of PGW's proposals in accordance with the applicable legal governance standards, taking into account PGW's finances, operations, core purpose, and ultimately, the Commission endorsed a budget of $127,708,000. $21 million below the original budget proposed by PGW and approximately 5.1% lower than the approved fiscal year 2019 capital budget. The Commission believes that this budget is appropriate for the capital needs facing PGW in the coming year, and therefore recommended in its resolution and order dated April 24th, 2019, that City Council approve a fiscal year 2020 capital budget and a not to exceed amount of $127,708,000, incorporating the line item adjustments to the filed budget proposal. This budget would be comprised of $123,566,000 in immediate spending authority that would commence on the beginning of the fiscal year on September 1st, 2019, subject to the limitations stated in the proposed budget ordinance, and $4,142,000 in conditional spending authority, which would require the Gas Commission's review and release approval prior to the commitment and/or expenditure of those funds. With regards to bills number 190384 and 190385, the Commission similarly recommends the approval of PGW's request to amend both the fiscal year 2018 and 2019 capital budgets. The circumstances which gave rise to this need to amend these budgets were outside of PGW's control, and though the approval of these amendments require a one-time waiver of the capital program protocols which have governed the administration of PGW's capital budget since 2013, the Commission feels that in the discrete circumstances presented here, that one-time waiver is warranted. I will be happy to answer any questions that you may have on any of the three bills.
Thank you very much.
Good morning. My name is Douglas Moser, Executive Vice President and Acting Chief Operating Officer at PGW. I have also submitted written testimony, and in the sake of time, and rather than being redundant, I will be available for any questions.
Thank you very much. Do we have questions for PGW? Thank you both very much.
Thank you.
We will now hear an amendment, Bill number 190358. Frank Breslin, would you come forward, our Revenue Commissioner? And Clerk, please read the title of the BERT revised filing requirements.
190358, an ordinance amending Chapter 19-2600 of the Philadelphia Code entitled Business Income and Receipt Taxes by amending Section 19-2606 entitled Returns to Revised Filing Requirements under certain terms and conditions.
Thank you very much. Good morning. Please identify yourself for the record and do your testimony.
Good morning, Chair Blackwell and members of the Committee on
Good
Finance. My name is Frank Breslin. I am the Revenue Commissioner and Chief Collections Officer. I'm here today to testify in support of Bill number 190358. The bill amends Section 19-2606 of the Philadelphia Code to remove business income and receipts tax filing requirements for businesses whose taxable receipts are less than $100,000 for a given year, starting in tax year 2020. We've submitted a clarifying amendment to ensure businesses exempt from the gross receipts portion will continue to file if net income is owed. This legislation advances the goal set in the Inclusive Growth Strategy, which was released last month, by easing an administrative burden on small businesses. The city started phasing in exemptions from the business income and receipts tax in 2014, and now the first $100,000 in sales is tax-free. This reduced the number of businesses that owed BERT by more than 2/3 and removed a significant barrier to inclusive growth by decreasing the cost to start and run a company or work on your own. However, while the expense has been eliminated, the hassle associated with the BERT has not. By eliminating the requirement to file a return for businesses with less than $100,000 in Philadelphia sales, small businesses will save the expense of having the return prepared by a professional or the worry of navigating a complex tax return. These small businesses will no longer face fines for failure to file if they don't submit a return, and will have one less thing to worry about each tax season. There are about 125,000 businesses filing BERT returns with the Department of Revenue. This bill will reduce that number by up to 74%, or 98,000 businesses. This will be a significant help to small businesses and sole practitioners in Philadelphia by making it easier to do business in the city. The administration fully supports this bill, removing filing requirements for businesses with less than $100,000 in taxable receipts to promote a more inclusive business environment in Philadelphia. Thank you for the opportunity to testify, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions? Do I assume you need a suspension you would prefer?
Yes.
Thank you. Any questions? Thank you very much, Mr. Breslin. Next, we will ask Pei-Lin Chen, Deputy Budget Director for Capital, to come forward as the clerk reads the title of Bill number 190431.
190431, an ordinance authorizing the bond committee to sell bonds at public or private negotiated sale to provide funds towards various capital municipal purposes, providing for appropriations to the Sinking Fund Commission for the payment of such bonds, authorizing agreements to provide credit or payment or liquidity sources for bonds in connection with issuance of the bonds, and certain other actions providing for obtaining the consent of electors to increasing the indebtedness of the city, and fixing a day and providing for arrangements for holding the election and obtaining such consent.
Thank you very much. Good morning. Please identify yourselves for the record and begin your testimony.
Good morning, Chairperson Blackwell and members of the Finance Committee. My name is Paylin Chen, Deputy Budget Director for Capital, and with me today is Rob Dubow, Director of Finance. I'm here today to testify in support of Bill number 190431, which was introduced on May 23, 2019. The purpose of this bill is to obtain approval from City Council to place a loan authorization question on the general election ballot on Tuesday, November 5th, 2019. The loan question requests an increase in indebtedness in an amount not to exceed $185 million to fund the city's fiscal 2020 capital budget that is pending approval before City Council. State law requires the city to place a question on the ballot before increasing its borrowing authority. As of June 30th, 2018, the city's legal debt limit was $8,001.0 million, and the amount of debt applicable to that limit was $2,051.3 million. As a result, the city has a debt margin of about $5,949.7 million. The FY20 capital budget for new general obligation bonds is approximately $177.17 million. The proposed ordinance includes the new GO loan amount as well as a 4% cost of issuance to bring the loan authorization amount to approximately $185 million. The loan authorization, if approved, would finance capital projects classified for the following purposes and in the following aggregate amounts. The administration provides the following bill adjusted for amendments made during the budget process. Transit, $4.782 million. Streets and sanitation, $45.585 million. Municipal buildings, $88.01 million. Parks, recreation, and museums, $25.896 million. Economic and community development, $20.727 million, for a total of $185 million. In order to provide appropriate time to advertise the ballot question prior to the November 5th, 2019 election, the bill should be enacted no later than September 12th, 2019. Finally, attached as part of this testimony is the proposed ballot question requesting loan authorization from the electorate. I respectfully request that you report Bill number 190431 out of committee with a favorable recommendation, and I further request that the rules of council be suspended so as to permit first reading on June 13th, 2019, so that the bill can be enacted no later than September 12th, 2019. This concludes my written testimony. I would be happy to answer any questions you have at this time.
Thank you very much. Mr. DeBoe, do you have any wise words of wisdom for us this morning?
I do not.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Councilman Dom?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I do have a question. Good morning.
Good morning.
Recently, we've seen a dramatic drop in the 7 and 10-year treasuries. Dramatic. 7-year treasuries are now below 2. And I think 10-year treasuries are hovering around 2%. Have we really taken a deep dive into our whole portfolio to see what we can refinance and lower our borrowing costs? Because right now, it's an opportune time.
Yes, we are always looking at that, and as you can probably guess, we also get lots of proposals from investment banks who are constantly looking at the market for us to see whether there are any opportunities. And so whenever there are, we move forward. We have strict criteria for when we'll do refinancings, making sure we get appropriate levels of savings, but that is a process that is always ongoing.
I'm just going to give you an example which people can understand. The residential rates alone probably went down close to 3/4 to a point in the last 3 months. I mean, the rates have dropped dramatically. For commercial mortgages, the rates were 4.5. Now you're in the 3 3/4. And for shorter term, you're in the low 3s. So I'm just saying it's been a dramatic, and it looks like it's going down further. So it may be a great time for us to look at our portfolio and figure out, can we refinance and cut down our interest cost?
Yeah, and that is an ongoing analysis.
So who does that for the city?
So the Treasurer's Office is the point for that, and they work with our financial advisors and investment banks.
And so can we make a special call to them and say, look, rates have really dropped in the last 30 days. What can we do to save on these borrowing costs?
Yeah, we can do that. I mean, the conversations are always happening, but we can do that.
The last 30 days has been an unbelievable
Yes,
drop.
yep.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you both very much. Now we'll ask Ann Fadulin, Director of Planning and Development, to come forward, and we'll ask the clerk to read the title of our CDBG Consolidated Plan, Bill number 190441.
190441, an ordinance authorizing the Director of Planning and Development on behalf of the city to file applications with the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development for a Community Development Block Program, to file applications to participate in Home Investment Partnership Program and Emergency Solutions Grant Program, and to apply for a housing opportunity for persons with AIDS grants, and to file applications with the Commonwealth to obtain grants under the Act of April 12, 1956, PL 1449, Section 4, as amended to prevent and eliminate blight, authorizing the Director of Planning and Development and the Director of Commerce to file applications to obtain other grants from the Commonwealth, authorizing the Director of Commerce to use the Section 108 Loan Guarantee Program, and authorizing the Director of Planning and Development and the Director of Commerce to enter into all understandings and insurances contained in such applications, and to take all necessary action to accept the grants, all under certain terms and conditions.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Since we submitted written testimony, I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'm just going to kind of skim through. And then I do have, I don't have enough copies for everybody, but I do have something I want to pass out because the consolidated plan was submitted prior to us understanding that there was a potentially additional allocation of fiscal year 20 Housing Trust Fund dollars. So we've got that incorporated into this
Thank you. He's happy to make copies.
Right. So good afternoon, Chair Blackwell and other members of the Finance Committee and members of City Council. I'm Ann Fadulin, Director of Planning and Development. I will present testimony on behalf of the administration on Bill number 190441, which permits the city to apply for the Federal Community Development Block Grant, Home Investment Partnership, Emergency Solutions Grant, and housing opportunities for persons with AIDS funds and for state funds from the Department of Community and Economic Development. The bill refers to Exhibit A, which is the Annual Action Plan 2019 through 2020, the required HUD funding application. In order for the city to receive funding from HUD, the city is required to submit an approved Annual Action Plan to HUD, no later than August 15th, 2019. The Annual Action Plan 2019 through 2020 details our plan for spending funds from 4 primary federal sources, as well as the state's Department of Community and Economic Development. As detailed in the Annual Action Plan 2019 through 2020, the city anticipates receiving nearly $43 million in CDBG funding and a home program allocation of $11.37 million. The Annual Action Plan goals and strategic actions were designed to meet Philadelphia's high-priority housing and community development needs. These goals are preserve and create affordable homeowner and rental housing opportunities, reduce homelessness and expand special needs housing opportunities, foster open access to all housing and community resources and programs, address the education, economic, and income needs of people and neighborhoods, strengthen community assets and manage vacant land to improve quality of life, and to promote fair housing and access to opportunities for all Philadelphians. I want to thank you for the opportunity to present this testimony, and in order for the city to receive funding from HUD, again, the city is required to submit an approved annual action plan no later than August 15th, 2019. Additional tables and information required by HUD as part of the funding application will be included in the final submission to HUD. In order to permit expeditious transmittal of the annual action plan to HUD, we request a suspension of the rules to permit first reading at the next council session. At this point, I'm happy to answer any questions that anybody may have.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions? Thank you very much, Ms. Fadulin. Now we want to ask Barrett Marshall, Esquire, Supervising Attorney, CLS, Beth McConnell, Policy Director, Philadelphia Association of CDCs, or PACDC, Keisha Abad, Utility Emergency Services Funding, and Meredith Johnson. Thank you. Good morning. identify yourself for the record and then make your testimony. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Barrett Marshall, and I'm a supervising attorney at Community Legal Services and the director of the Philadelphia Eviction Prevention Project.
Thank you.
The housing unit at CLS provides free legal advice and representation to over 3,000 low-income tenants living in private and subsidized housing in Philadelphia each year. We're grateful to have worked with council for several decades to protect tenants and to promote safe, affordable housing. Thank you for the opportunity to testify on the Philadelphia Eviction Prevention Project today. According to reports by the Reinvestment Fund and the city's assessment of fair housing, eviction rates are highest in Philadelphia's poor and predominantly black neighborhoods, while evictions disproportionately impact poor communities of color. Gentrification is ravaging our communities. A recent study published by the National Community Reinvestment Coalition showed that from 2000 to 2013, due to rapidly rising rents, property values, and taxes, more than 12,000 African Americans in Philadelphia moved out of gentrifying neighborhoods. As the report notes, the large number of neighborhoods that gentrified and the number of displaced residents rank Philadelphia among the worst cities for Black displacement. This tells us not only that we have a poverty crisis impacting our city's most vulnerable residents, but that we have a very serious race equity problem that is impacting Black residents' access to housing in particular. The Philadelphia Eviction Prevention Project has been incredibly successful. We have been exceeding expectations of providing legal representation and legal advice and other critical services to tenants facing a life-changing eviction. Yet PEP only meets a fraction of our need currently in the city. Investing in legal services and a tenant's right to counsel is cost-effective and one of the best measures to prevent evictions, housing instability, and homelessness. A recent report of the Philadelphia Bar Association and the Stout firm estimated that every $1 invested into legal representation to prevent eviction saves nearly $13 in costs to city services. Other reports, including the Mayor's Eviction Prevention Task Force recommendations, the city's recently released Narrowing the Gap report, and the Housing Action Plan, all identify several goals which would help fight eviction, displacement, and homelessness, including expanding access to legal representation for low-income tenants. For these reasons, it's critical to build on the success of this program. We were very pleased to hear that the funding has been tentatively approved for $1.5 million for the next fiscal year. An investment of $1.5 million is an important and natural next step towards ensuring that PEP advocates can continue to provide expert and effective legal representation to tenants facing eviction and displacement. On behalf of CLS and all of our PEP partners, I want to sincerely thank Council for this commitment to Philadelphia's tenants. We're asking that the city's investment in this project be increased to $1.5 million in the next fiscal year, as was tentatively announced, and that the city invest in a tenant's right to counsel in the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good morning. Thank you for the opportunity to testify. My name is Beth McConnell. I'm the Policy Director at the Philadelphia Association of Community Development Corporations, PACDC. I submitted longer written testimony for the record, so I will summarize my verbal testimony. First, we really want to thank City Council and the Kenney administration for agreeing to allocate $20 million in general funds to the Housing Trust Fund for FY20, which boosts the original agreement from this past September by about $12 million. In addition, in particular, I want to thank Council President Clark and Council members Sanchez, Squilla, and Johnson. These funds are absolutely vital for addressing the growing need for affordable homes for our low and moderate income neighbors. Very briefly, some of the programs that we really want to shout out is launching and continuing a shallow rent subsidy this year to help get more affordable rental units online, to boost down payment and closing cost assistance, which began today. And finally, we really want to encourage Council and the administration to take a look at funding for our housing counseling agencies, which are desperately in need of more resources. PACDC also applauds Council and the administration for boosting commercial corridor funding by $2 million in the FY20 budget on final passage this week. And in particular, we really want to thank Council members Parker and Sanchez for really leading the charge for the boost in critical programs that make our corridors clean and safe. In particular, we hope those funds can double down on what's already working by boosting the targeted corridor management program and our commercial corridor stormwater cleaning programs. We also want to encourage to take a look at boosting or making available some training and professionalization services for our commercial corridor managers, who are often early career professionals who really have no place to go to learn how to be a commercial corridor manager. Similarly, some data management tools that can help them do their jobs more effectively and track success. And finally, we want to encourage that council and the administration take a look at a pilot program for like a basic systems repair program for small businesses, so we can help them with leaky roofs and busted plumbing and sagging floors and other issues that really get in the way of their economic success. Thank you very much for the opportunity to testify, and we appreciate all of your leadership for these programs.
Thank you. The chair notes that Councilman Bobby Henon, Vice Chair, is here. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Keisha Abad. I'm the Director of Utility Grant Program at USEF. I'd like to say good morning to the Chairman Blackwell and members of City Council. As I stated, I am the Director of the Utility Grant Program for USEF. I am here today to provide testimony regarding the great work performed by the Housing Trust Fund. In its partnership with USEF, we would like to speak on the continued success this funding has provided on many participants within our programs, but we also like to point out how more funding could impact our community. During fiscal year 2018, we were awarded $1,070,000 from the Housing Trust Fund for our utility grant program. As a result, USEF was able to stop utility service shutoffs and restore utility services for over 2,000 vulnerable families. The lack of needed utility service is one of the leading causes of homelessness. For example, when the gas and electricity are shut off, this results in no heat, no lights, and no refrigeration, which then causes many families to abandon their homes and ultimately end up at the shelter door. USEF uses funds provided by the Housing Trust Fund, utility assistance, as part of an overall housing stabilization approach, leveraging resources from other USEF programs. USEF has worked in partnership with the Office of Homeless Service to serve 100 families currently in shelters. USEF focuses $95,000 of the HTF funds, which are matched by the utilities, to provide utility assistance to those in the shelter who had higher arrearages, and which will result in the denial of obtaining new utility services, preventing them from moving into permanent housing. Through this program, the family's primary barrier to leaving the shelter was removed. The city saved approximately $30,000 per family in shelter costs, and valuable shelter space was freed up. USEF was able to leverage an additional $25,000 in private funds to assist women in this program, coming out of shelters with rent and security deposits. So a $95,000 investment from the Housing Trust Fund turns into $215,000, which increases of 126%. The HTF also attracted additional leverage funds to our organization of nearly $1.2 million. The funds leveraged by 112% through matching utility bill credits, other direct private funding, and direct benefit acquisition directly assisted families with students in our school district, participants in our workforce development, and as well as our program for veteran ex-offenders. With our Family Empowerment Program, USEF helps break the cycle of intergenerational poverty by helping local families secure safe and stable housing through financial assistance, budget coaching, intense case management, workforce development, and the whole family supports. We adopted the two-generational approach where we not only focus on the parents and their needs to stabilize housing, but we focus on the children and how we can help them be academically successful long-term. For example, I'd like to tell you a story about one of our families in the Family Empowerment Program, where the utility grant program has impacted the whole household. This is a common story that we've seen play out on many occasions. Our participant was a single female head of household with 8 children, 1 diagnosed with autism, and 1 with ADHD, with over $6,000 in arrearages from a single utility. The family fell behind on a payment plan due to sudden and unavoidable family emergency, and lost service from one utility. As a result, the family was forced to leave their housing. The family moved in with their grandmother, who did not live near the children's school. As a result of the trauma of the move, the kids fell behind in their academics. 3 of the children had to repeat a grade. Our USEF family advocate worked with the family and the utility company to arrange a payment plan for the portion of the bill that was considered a tampering charge. Our family advocate also maximized the availability of utility benefits to zero out the remaining arrearages. She used a combination of LIHEAP, utility grant funds from the Housing Trust Fund, and the matching utility credit. Once the utility was restored, the family was able to move back into their home near their school. As a result of the Housing Trust Fund's utility grant support, our caseworker was able to not only help the family move back into their housing, but develop a relationship with the family to help with the following. USEF advocated for 2 of her sons to have an IEP written. Since moving back to their permanent housing, the students' academic success has improved dramatically. All the children have 0 unexcused absences. The daughter in high school is in the National Honor Society and has received scholarships that will pay for the first 2 semesters of college. 2 of the children are on honor roll at school. The family now resides in housing they can afford, as evidenced by a budget USEF helped the mother to prepare. The family is currently supported by a sustainable income. USEF is helping the mother regain employment and possibly enhance her education. None of this success would have been possible without the support of Housing Trust Fund. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Is Meredith Johnson here?
Sorry, you moved too fast this morning, so she's not here.
Thank you. All right, are there any questions from members of this panel? Okay, we thank you very much for being here. And now we're going to call on the clerk to read Bill number 190-412 amendment regarding Commonwealth's Property Assessed Clean Energy Program. And we're going to ask Christine Knapp, Director, Office of Sustainability, and Emily Shapiro, Executive Director of the Philadelphia Energy Authority, to come forward. Thank you.
190412, an ordinance approving city participation in the Commonwealth's Property Assessed Clean Energy Program, all under certain terms and conditions.
Thank you. Before you identify yourself and begin, the chair calls on Councilman Derek Green.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to take a brief moment to thank the work of Christine Knapp from the Office of Sustainability and also the outstanding work of Emily Shapiro from our Philadelphia Energy Authority in moving forward with this CPACE. There were a number of amendments and things we had to address to get us to this point. There's an amendment that's been circulated to all members of this committee. But CPACE is an opportunity to really address some of the major issues of global warming. There are a number of issues, but some of the most significant impacts of global warming is emissions. And most of those emissions come from our commercial and residential industrial buildings. And this legislation provides an opportunity to provide the ability for businesses around the city of Philadelphia to participate in the Commonwealth program to help us to reduce some of the emissions that come out of our large commercial buildings. So I want to thank them for their work, thank them for the tenacity in bringing this program to the city of Philadelphia, and hopefully we can take one additional step towards addressing climate change and harmful carbon emissions and nitrogen oxide emissions in the city of Philadelphia. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Feel free to identify yourselves and begin your testimony.
Good morning, Chair Blackwell and members of the committee. I'm Christine Knapp. I'm the Director of the Office of Sustainability for the city. I'm here to testify in support of Bill 190-412, which approves the city's participation in the Commonwealth's Commercial Property Assessed Clean Energy Program called CPACE under certain terms and conditions. CPACE is a financing mechanism used by local governments that allows commercial and industrial property owners to finance energy efficiency and renewable energy improvements through their property tax payment. The repayment of qualified energy improvements is done via voluntary property tax assessment by local governments. The financing for PACE projects may be provided through third-party capital secured by the property assessment payments. Repayment responsibility transfers to the next owner if the property is sold. The legislature of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania adopted CPACE enabling legislation in May of 2018. The legislation was signed by Governor Wolf and allows municipalities or counties to establish a program in their jurisdictions by adopting an ordinance or resolution. Pennsylvania's legislation allows a combination of municipalities and counties to work together or implement and administer a CPACE program and is restricted to commercial properties, excluding multifamily residential buildings. The Office of Sustainability believes CPACE to be a helpful tool in supporting the sustainability of redeveloped properties and encouraging investments in energy efficiency and renewable energy systems in commercial buildings. CPACE is specifically outlined in our Powering Our Future, a Clean Energy Vision for Philadelphia, as a way to help meet the city's long-term carbon reduction goals, and it was prioritized as a short-term recommendation that could be implemented quickly. An analysis of CPACE by ICF International on behalf of our office estimated a Philadelphia program could save substantial carbon from entering the atmosphere and provide significant bill savings to citywide buildings based on similar projects and programs around the country. Nationally, some CPACE programs have outperformed savings projections, and a successful initiative is largely dependent on the program design and resources. The Philadelphia Energy Authority, Emily sitting next to me, has been participating in a year-long series of workshops with other Pennsylvania cities, counties, and financiers with the goal of building a successful program. Given the goals of the Energy Authority, with both the Philadelphia Energy Campaign and their founding documents, the city believes they are the best choice as the CPACE administrator for a City Philadelphia program. Functions of CPACE program administration could include a broad number of tasks that the Energy Authority is well suited to handle. The Authority, through its nationally recognized Solarize program and other community programs, has shown that they can serve as a flexible organization capable of working directly with constituents and vendors to deliver a positive impact to the city. Since CPACE relies on repayment through the assessment, the PEA will need to continue to meet with the Revenue Department, the Office of Property Assessment, and Finance Department to ensure the program guidelines are strongly aligned with the city's existing systems. In closing, I anticipate that the CPACE bill will help to lower citywide energy use while reducing carbon pollution. A CPACE program aligns with the city's carbon reduction plans, and PEA serves as a strong partner who can function well in their role as administrator of the program. Thank you for the opportunity to testify, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Good morning, Chair Blackwell, members of the committee. My name is Emily Shapira. I'm the Executive Director of the Philadelphia Energy Authority. The Energy Authority was created in 2010 to support the city on issues of energy affordability and sustainability. In the last 2 years, we've helped launch over $100 million in clean energy and energy efficiency projects in Philadelphia across city buildings, schools, affordable and market rate housing, and small businesses. We've helped create nearly 1,000 jobs in that time. I'm here today to testify regarding Bill 190412, which would enable a new clean energy financing tool called CPACE. We believe CPACE is critical to the development of commercial solar market in Philadelphia, and we know that dollar for dollar, rooftop solar creates more jobs than any other energy investment we can make. CPACE also creates jobs across all of the building trades and helps mitigate climate change while providing an important tool for commercial building owners to invest in their properties. I'll share a brief explanation of what CPACE is and why it works. So CPACE stands for Commercial Property Assessed Clean Energy Financing. It's an innovative financing product for owners of commercial and industrial properties for large energy efficiency or renewable energy projects that would allow the loan to flow with the property instead of with the owner. It does this by treating the loan as a voluntary assessment on the property and is paid back along with the real estate taxes. This assessment takes priority over first mortgages and requires mortgage holder consent. CPACE has been enabled in 36 states plus Washington, D.C., and there are active programs in over 20 states with over $1 billion in CPACE financing completed nationwide across over 2,000 projects. Governor Wolf signed CPACE into law in June 2018, as Christine mentioned, and it is now up to each county to decide to enable it. So far, Chester and Northampton counties have authorized CPACE. So why do people participate in CPACE? That's a question we get often. First, because the assessment travels with the property, not the owner. It allows owners to make significant investments in projects that might have a longer payback than the length of time you're intending to own the property. So for example, if you're a developer who only intends to own a building for 7 years to capture all the tax credits and then sell it, you wouldn't likely invest in solar in Philadelphia, which has a 10 to 12-year payback, or a new boiler or windows, which might have an even longer payback. Because the assessment is easily transferable to the next property owner, the benefits and costs always accrue to the same party, either the current property owner or tenant, depending on the pass-through structure. It allows lenders to offer longer repayment terms than other types of financing, often 15 to 25 years, or the life of the equipment installed, allowing the debt service to cost less than the utility cost savings or other benefits. CPACE is also non-accelerating, so unlike a mortgage, which becomes due in full in the case of default, only the past due amount ever becomes due. If CPACE payments enters default, the lender can only collect on the delinquent payments, not the future value of the debt. Because of that structure, hundreds of senior mortgage holders have consented to CPACE liens nationwide because their only exposure is the past due payment, and CPACE projects increase property values. Lenders participate in CPACE because the engagement from the local government increases the long-term security of the loan through payment collection and delinquency enforcement, even though any costs incurred by the local government are reimbursed in full by the lender. They value the lien prioritization above existing mortgages and find that a CPACE program framework provides lender and consumer confidence, clarity on contracting and documentation, and important education for the marketplace on energy projects. PEA and the Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection estimate over $60 million in CPACE projects in the first 5 years of this program will move forward, with at least half of that coming from Philadelphia. PEA has been engaged for the last year, as Christine mentioned, in a statewide stakeholder engagement process to help craft those statewide program guidelines, and we're modifying those a little bit for Philadelphia to make sure it works for our specific situation. Over 100 attendees from government, labor, commercial properties, lenders, and project developers attended our sessions in Philly, Harrisburg, and Pittsburgh over the last year. Since this legislation has been introduced in City Council, we've heard from nearly a dozen capital providers, developers, nonprofits, and property owners who are currently contemplating CPACE projects in Philadelphia. And I've attached letters of support from many of these interested parties to my official testimony today. We've been able to compile these over the last week, and I wanted to just share the quick list of those folks here. They include Axel Capital, El Piso Group, who operates a number of hotels in Philly, Green Building United, the CPACE Alliance, which represents multiple PACE lenders nationwide, Chestnut Hill United Church and its Environmental Justice Center, Revel, a PACE lender located headquartered here in Philadelphia, Gray Boys Efficiency Tenant and Energy Efficiency Company located in Philadelphia, Greenworks Net Lending, one of the largest national PACE lenders, the Sustainable Energy Fund, and the Clean Power PA Coalition, which includes many environmental and faith-based organizations, including folks like the National Resources Defense Council, Penn Future, Clean Air Council, Moms Clean Air Force, Penn Environment, Pennsylvania Interfaith Power and Light, and the Sustainable Business Network. This bill has strong support, will create jobs and economic development for our city, and will provide an important tool for commercial buildings in Philly to take the urgent steps needed to mitigate the worst effects of climate change. Nearly 80% of Philadelphia's citywide carbon emissions comes from buildings, so it's a critical tool to help us meet Mayor Kenny's climate commitments. I strongly urge the members of the committee to advance Bill 190412 with a favorable recommendation. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions? We thank you. Panel 2 begins Liz Robinson, Executive Director of Philadelphia Solar Energy Association, Rich Silverian, President, Keystone Energy Efficient Alliance, Ron Celentano, President, Pennsylvania Solar Energy Industries Association, Brian Smiley, American Institute of Architects, and Ken McDougall-Necka. Chair also notes that Councilman Mark Squilla is present, and we thank him. All right, feel free to begin your testimony. You can make all of it, or you don't have to, as Emily Shapira did, as we've been moving right along. You can feel free to summarize. We don't insist that way, but you can feel free to summarize, and we'll be just as pleased.
Thank you,
Good morning
Councilwoman
again, and
Blackwell.
thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilwoman Blackwell and members of the Finance Committee, and ladies and gentlemen. I'm Liz Robinson, Executive Director of the Philadelphia Solar Energy Association, a nonprofit dedicated to increasing the understanding and utilization of solar energy in Philadelphia and across the state. PCA congratulates City Council on the leadership that it is continuing to demonstrate in building Philadelphia's clean energy future. PCA firmly supports passage of the commercial PACE legislation and its immediate implementation. We are very fortunate to have the Philadelphia Energy Authority, which has helped to write the CPACE guidelines and is ready to administer the program in the city. CPACE has the potential to strengthen our local businesses, large and small, by financing energy efficiency improvements and solar installations, both of which will significantly lower their costs, improve their profitability, and strengthen their bottom lines. The cost of solar has come down dramatically in the last 10 years, and with net metering, a rising solar renewable energy credit, and the federal tax credit, this is the perfect time for local businesses to go solar. The fact that CPACE is designed to finance both energy efficiency and solar at the same time will permit businesses to access the most cost-effective combination of clean energy technologies to maximize both short and long-term energy savings and benefit. Thanks to the Solarize Philly program, permitting with L&I and the interconnection process with PECO are now much easier and faster with higher quality customer service, so the hassle factor is way down. Thanks to the previous program activity in both energy efficiency and solar, the workforce development efforts of the Energy Coordinating Agency and others, Philadelphia also has a strong group of very capable local energy efficiency and solar contractors. This group of businesses will continue to grow with the CPACE program. It's very important to conduct a robust, sustained public education effort to encourage businesses to take full advantage of CPACE as quickly as possible before the federal tax credit begins to diminish. We would encourage the Commerce Department, PGW, and PECO to collaborate with the PEA in a citywide, multi-pronged communication effort. PECO's Act 129 energy efficiency programs will benefit greatly from CPACE and should coordinate closely with it. CPACE will strengthen our local business, support economic development, and create local jobs, all while reducing our carbon emissions. Thank you again for your leadership in building the clean energy economy here in Philly.
Thank you, Liz Robinson, thank you.
Good morning, Councilwoman Blackwell.
Good morning.
And member committees. I'm Rich Salvarian, President of the Board of the Keystone Energy Efficiency Alliance, or KEA. KEA is a Pennsylvania-based trade association representing more than 60 members of the energy efficiency industry. I'm also president and CEO of McGran Associates, a local engineering and consulting company with an office here in Philadelphia. Thank you for allowing me to speak today on the important issue of CPACE. KEA strongly supports Bill number 190412 and encourages the city to act swiftly to establish CPACE in Philadelphia. Our organization worked to pass the Pennsylvania Senate Bill 234, which allowed local governments to establish CPACE programs in 2018. And we're encouraged to see the City of Philadelphia Council considering establishing such a program. We work closely with the Pennsylvania Energy Authority as well as the Sustainable Energy Fund and many other partners to develop tools to help implement CPACE across the Commonwealth. Our members, including McGran Associates, stand ready to work with the city and the Philadelphia Energy Authority to make CPACE a success and retrofit commercial properties across the city. I would like to make 2 points regarding the importance of the policy. First, investments in energy efficiency benefits the communities more broadly. Energy efficiency creates jobs. Philadelphia's metro area has more than 21,000 jobs in energy efficiency, according to E for the Future. These jobs include a broad array of professionals such as electricians, engineers, trained technicians, financial analysts, construction workers, facilities managers, software developers, and other specialists. Utility energy efficiency programs alone have delivered more than $6.4 billion of benefits from 2009 to 2016, according to the Pennsylvania Public Utility Commission. Investments in energy efficiency also reduce strain on the grid, increase resilience, and cut pollution from energy production. Second, additional policies, including CPACE, are needed to unlock energy efficiency potential. Even though energy efficiency investments are cost-effective, many businesses do not pursue all available energy efficiency projects. There are many reasons for this, including long payback periods, competition with other capital needs, and the availability of financing. CPACE addresses many of these barriers to energy efficiency. It complements other city policies, such as the Energy Efficiency Benchmarking Program and the 2018 Commercial Building Codes in making Philadelphia a leader in energy efficiency. Philadelphia ranks number 12 on the American Council of Energy Efficiency's Economies City Energy Scorecard, ahead of Pittsburgh and Baltimore, but behind New York and Washington, D.C. Philadelphia can be among the most energy efficient big cities in the country, and passing CPACE is an important step toward getting there. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Good morning, Councilwoman Blackwell and members of the committee.
Good morning.
And other council members. Thank you for the opportunity to testify today. I'm Ron Salentano, President of the Pennsylvania Solar Energy Industries Association, or PACIA, a division of the Mid-Atlantic Solar and Storage Industries Association, where I serve as Vice President for Pennsylvania. MCA is a non-for-profit trade association made of businesses and professionals working in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Delaware, involved in development, manufacturing, design, construction, and installation of solar photovoltaic and energy storage systems. Commercial Property Assessment Clean Energy, or CPACE, is a great mechanism for financing energy efficiency, clean energy, and water conservation projects for commercial properties. PACS supports Bill 190412, the CPS bill. After Keystone Energy Efficiency Alliance, or KEA, worked hard for 2 years on CPACE legislation in Pennsylvania, it finally passed, and Governor Wolf signed Senate Bill 234 into law last summer. But this just enabled CPACE to work in Pennsylvania. CPACE programs would still need to be developed by county or municipalities throughout the state in order to utilize this financing tool. As of April 2019, 36 states and districts of Columbia have passed laws enabling CPACE, but because of inconsistent program structures and administrations within some of these states, CPACE hasn't been very successful, or those programs have been very sluggish in getting started in many of these states. KEA was well aware of this potential fallout and knew there needed to be a standardized methodology for developing CPACE program to attract and assure financing lending institutions to fund CPACE projects. So KEA partnered with PP&L Sustainable Energy Fund, SCF, along with the Philadelphia Energy Authority, PIA, and developed stakeholders-supported model guidelines that could easily be adopted by local governments and administered a CEF across much of the that would be administered by CEF across much of the state. Since then, KEA has been continuously educating counties across the state about CPACE, encouraging them to establish CPACE programs utilizing these guidelines with the intention of creating a statewide program. As of last month, Northampton County became the first in the state to establish a CPACE program, followed by Chester County, with Philadelphia next in line. The resolution that Councilmembers Green and Reynolds Brown have introduced to establish CPACE program for Philadelphia would be administered by the Philadelphia Energy Authority, using similar guidelines to the statewide model developed. PAC applauds the Philadelphia City Council for continuing to strive for building Philadelphia's clean energy future. We strongly support developing and implementing the CPACE program for Philadelphia, as it provides much more opportunity to grow commercial solar installations in the city. We're also excited that Philadelphia Energy Authority would be the administrator of this program, as they were involved in the beginning of the stakeholder process and the development of the program guidelines, but also because of their continuous involvement with expanding solar in Philadelphia, especially with their great success with this Solarized Philly program. So far, Philadelphia has over 1,200 residential and commercial solar PV systems installed, totaling about 16 megawatts of solar capacity since the late 1990s, but Pennsylvania is still far behind our neighboring states. Implementing CPACE programs in Philadelphia and in counties across the state will be a very effective vehicle for financing solar projects, which helps remove one of the many barriers experienced with promoting the solar market penetration in our state. Expanding the solar requirement under the Alternative Energy Portfolio Standard, AEPS, as proposed under the PA Senate Bill 600, will, with 10% solar by 2030, will supercharge the CPACE program's success and grow a vibrant solar workforce. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good morning. My name is Brian Smiley, and I am testifying today on behalf of the Philadelphia chapter of the American Institute of Architects. The AIA is Philadelphia's voice of the architectural profession and represents more than 263 member architecture firms and 228 affiliate companies supplying products and services to the construction industry in this region. I would like to thank Councilwoman Blackwell for allowing me to testify today, and I also want to thank Councilman Green for introducing Bill number 190412, which would approve Philadelphia's participation in the CPACE program. Let me first explain a primary benefit of CPACE. In the building and construction industry, it's been a long-standing goal for building owners to be able to make improvements to their commercial properties to be more energy efficient and then use the money saved on utility bills to pay off the loan that paid for the improvements. However, many developers operate in markets that demand low first costs. These developers recognize that better insulation, air sealing, high-efficiency equipment, and solar panels may pay off in the long run, but the initial cost is too high. For many developers, their return on investment timeframe is very short, often 1 year or less. To remain competitive in markets where low first costs are important, these developers typically forego these beneficial improvements. To help solve this issue, CPACE was created. This program applies to new construction projects, existing building renovations, tenant fit-outs, industrial projects, and many other building types. There already is a lot of momentum behind this program. Dozens of other states have adopted legislation allowing these CPACE programs to launch. The law passed the Pennsylvania chambers of legislature by wide bipartisan majorities. Chester and Northampton counties have already adopted CPACE legislation. Many more counties are in the process of evaluating and adopting CPACE. For example, Dauphin, Delaware, Montgomery, Allegheny, Berks, Butler, Wayne, Lancaster City, and Philadelphia. These other counties recognize the benefit of CPACE to the public. Owners will benefit from lower utility bills and lower total cost of ownership. The general public will benefit from cleaner air. There are also numerous benefits to Philadelphia, among them jobs, jobs, jobs. Jobs one, Pennsylvania already has 86,000 jobs in clean energy and energy efficiency. CPACE will help grow the number of high-paying technical jobs in Philadelphia by developing new projects. Jobs two, construction renovation jobs remain in the Philadelphia region and can't be outsourced or moved to other countries. Jobs three, these are sustained jobs, not short-term like building a fossil fuel pipeline. Philadelphia is already recognized as being a leader in the country and in the world by being one of the first to adopt the 2018 energy codes. The CPACE program would give owners a powerful tool to make energy improvements and purchase renewable energy generating equipment to comply with these new energy codes. Enacting this legislation would strengthen Philadelphia's position as a worldwide leader. Engineers play an important part in the CPACE program as they assist in predicting the reduction in energy bills. I also want to urge you to include architects in this legislation. Architects need to be involved so that envelope improvements, window design, and orientation of new buildings can be optimized to further improve energy savings. Additionally, any net zero projects or buildings that involve a nationally recognized green building rating system should involve the work of an architect. The ease of payment, low cost of borrowing, and return on investment make CPACE worthwhile to all participants: city, lender, tenant, and owner. This program will also encourage more clean energy, energy efficiency, and water conservation projects. Thus, this is the rare government initiative with no downsides. The AIA supports Bill number 190412. We thank Councilman Green for introducing this progressive legislation, and we ask that the committee and all of council support it as well. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you very much, and the chair notes that Councilwoman Cindy Bass is also present. Thank you. I mentioned Mark Squill already, but I'll mention him twice. Thank you.
Thank you for inviting me today. My name is Ken McDougall. I'm with the Pendle, Jersey chapter of NECA, the National Electrical Contractors Association. NECA took the initiative 4 years to see through the PACE legislation in Harrisburg. Working with our friends in Harrisburg and on the committee today, we've gotten PACE passed. But today I'm here to talk about your constituents, the people on the job. NECA contractors employ over 10,000 electricians. We are the ones who provide the health care, the pensions, the training. PACE will provide access for our contractors to continue to work in these high-rise buildings. But it's not just solar that we should be focusing on. We should look bigger and greater. Our contractors, along with our IBW members in our training program, we train our apprentices for the development of microgrids, for combined heat and power systems, for advanced controls for lighting. We like to see microgrids start to be developed in the Philadelphia area. We'd like to see and work better with PGW to put more combined heat and power systems in. These systems don't only hire electricians and skilled people, they hire pipe fitters, sheet metal workers, insulators, people that are highly skilled doing a highly advanced work. Combined heat and power systems and microgrids, it's the integration of solar, wind, geothermal, and different electrical components of this grid. It takes a lot of training to put that on. It takes a skilled workforce. All the energy and efficiency in the world will not work if it's not installed properly by highly skilled and trained people. NECA is in support of this bill. We think it's an economic development tool for us to continue to have our trucks and our contractors and our workers in all these buildings downtown and making our city as energy efficient as we can. NECA and our contractors will provide that highly skilled level of labor that we will need to install these technical projects. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have a question from Councilman Henon.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm going to have to leave the hearing and then come back shortly, but I do have a couple questions. If I can start with, I know Emily has stepped away. If Emily can I have a moment of your time? And I think it dovetails into some of the subject matter that's being brought up by not by fly-by-night installers. When we had the Great Recession and we had folks that were experience hard times because of the economy, you had a lot of realtors and you had a lot of other salespeople go around door to door and kind of talked about solar energy and other ways to conserve energy, but they weren't experts by any stretch of imagination. I think they memorized 2-3 paragraphs and they preyed on the most vulnerable, especially our seniors coming to the doors. And in today's environment, when crime has when you see a lot more impersonation, of people who are coming to the doors that are preying on folks that may not know or may not be educated enough to understand the subject matter, it's easily to be fooled. So that has been our experience here in the city of Philadelphia. So some of my questions are going to be, one, how does this? I mean, I think this is an incredible opportunity for us. I think the devil's in the details, and Since this is a state program that the city needs to authorize, some of the terms and conditions will be in those details on how we implement, how we safeguard our citizens and the commercial residents, as well as public safety component to all this. So the first question is more of a macro type of approach. How, with $60 million in your testimony, estimated, for the first 5 years and $30 million coming from the city, that's a significant participation, which I think is incredible. And I'd love to, obviously have that to be 100% and grown. How does this apply to the state's energy portfolio standards credits that we have in ensuring that our utilities and our cities are getting credit for the responsibility of reducing our energy costs and emissions into our environment?
Sure. So it completely complements and supports the alternative energy portfolio standard we have at the state level. So I think Ron mentioned this. In Philadelphia, we've only ever developed about 16 megawatts of solar. So in order to meet Mayor Kenny's climate commitments, we need to be developing 15 megawatts a year. And we're only at about, I think it was 2.2 megawatts last year, so we have a long way to go on that. And this is one of those vehicles that'll help us get there. So as the state looks at improving the alternative energy portfolio standard, they're looking at increasing the amount of solar that is required by that standard. And so all of this work will only help support the requirements there. We're hoping for 5 to 10% solar, up from 0.5% required now. So this is important, and if Philadelphia, wants to have a commercial solar market, right now we're really balanced on a dime, especially for these big projects here in Center City. And so in order to make that math work, you need to have access to really long-term financing at lower cost, and this will do that.
And this is another option and way to actually kind of encourage people to get in line so we can be in compliance.
Yeah, absolutely. And individual commercial buildings don't have a compliance requirement. The compliance requirement is with the utility or with wholesale buyers for the AEPS, but it will certainly help clean up the grid faster and encourage the utilities and encourage,
Well, I think the utilities welcomes this in
I think
a
so
huge
too.
way, because it does meet their plan that is in compliance with the alternative energy portfolio standard that the state has.
Absolutely.
So we're helping the utilities who are serving and providing its energy to the city of Philadelphia.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're doing work at the city level to make sure, with our new power purchase agreement and other projects, to make sure that the city's in compliance, because we are a wholesale energy buyer, so we're required to do that.
So as we move forward, and the devil's in the details, and I'll get with you offline, myself over the next month. So I'll give you an example. One of the things that we should be mindful of is making sure that we do have responsible partners and contractors and installers, not like the weatherization program that in some cases we're successful, and most cases we're not successful, as well as, like I said, when we experienced a downfall in the economy, people were just, and rightfully so, just looking for employment, right? And they see their business just like get pulled out under their feet. These are they private contract installers is there an oversight? Is there a pre-selection qualifying type of oversight in any of this? Because you have the public safety component from it. You have public safety in not just structure and coordination with the fire department, which I'll touch on in a second, but you also open ourselves up to a little bit of welcoming crime, coming to your front door.
Sure. No, I totally understand that. So for CPACE, this is only a program for commercial properties. Multifamily are excluded, mixed use is excluded by the state statute. So these tend to be larger projects. These are not sort of your mom and pop shop projects for the most part, although, we're hoping to find some of those as well for the appropriate customers. But you're right, this is a more sophisticated arrangement. This is not just something you can easily quickly buy. There's a lot of contracting involved. So we've made sure as the administrator, as we're designing the program guidelines, that there are a number of requirements of each party that's involved. So all the lenders will have to be pre-qualified. All of the contractors as well will have to be pre-qualified, and we've been working with NECA and others to make sure that that set of requirements is the right set of requirements. And similarly, we'll have oversight over the project itself. So the project itself has to be pre-qualified by us as the administrator. So it has to be an energy-saving project. That has to be stamped by an engineer, and in certain cases, architects will need to be involved in that as well, probably most cases. So there's a whole lot of oversight on it, which is sort of why this requires this level of enabling legislation.
Great, and I'm glad to hear that not only, but I had an experience at one of the companies in my district, Dietz & Watson, who unfortunately, fortunate for the city, unfortunate for them and as a business, they had over in Jersey, they had a warehouse distribution plant which had solar on their roof, and not sure about the type of or the workmanship that went into the installation, and they certainly didn't have the proper signage and or shutoffs into places, and the fire department wasn't working with them, so they really didn't know how to disconnect, and it really presented themselves where they were in a bad situation, right? They couldn't control it because they didn't know how to work it, they didn't know how to operate it, they didn't understand it, and it is electrical. Right.
Yeah,
and,
absolutely.
And it is dangerous, and it does cause fires. And I know our fire department will be a good partner, I think, working with this program, I would imagine.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to share. So we hear about the Dietz & Watson fire often, so we've really looked into the details there. And that is exactly what you're saying, that, just wasn't that communication with the fire department and proper labeling and all that. So now with the 2017 electrical safety code, that's the most important piece there. That requires rapid shutoff for solar projects. We've also been working really closely with the fire department lately. The Office of Sustainability actually paid to have new training videos done, and is working closely with Chief Lippery over there to make sure that all firemen are trained on what the proper procedure is with solar. And I think there was a misnomer in the past that you couldn't put out a fire on a building with solar, and that's not true at all. And so, now I think everybody's got the proper training, and I think we don't expect any of those issues to happen, and we'll make sure that the contractors are doing the projects right. As part of Solarize Philadelphia, we actually have a third party go back and randomly visit samples from each installer of solar installations to make sure that the quality is what it's supposed to be and that they're doing everything properly. And so we've done that in the last 2 rounds, and we'll continue to do that for all of our installers.
Well, I'm excited. There's a whole lot of positives in making sure that this program is in place and implemented correctly and safely. So thank you for your testimony.
Just a comment, Councilman. Emily and I have attended several meetings, and one of the supporting topics that we had was from the finance people, who specifically said if we're going to finance these projects, we want to make sure that the contractors are at the quality that they're used to having, because again, you can install an energy efficiency project, but if it's not installed properly, you're not going to get the ROI. And they want to make sure that that ROI is met with qualified contractors.
I agree. I have no further questions.
Thank you very much. Any other questions? Thank you very much. We note that we have written testimony for Eliza Kelston Alsford, Sustainable Business Network, Steven Arivello, Axel Capital Group, Alex Dews, Green Building United, Samuel Klein, Gray Boys Efficiency Tenant LLC, Reverend Linda Noonan, Chestnut Hill United Church, Joy Berge, Environmental Justice Center of Chestnut Hill United Church, Elisa Roth, Greenworks Lending, John Coslow, Sustainable Energy Fund, P.T. Tan, El Piso Group, the Glean Power PA Coalition, and Criff Kellogg CPAC Alliance. Thank you very much. Our next hearing, it looks like we're getting close. Bill number 19044, or an amendment, hospital assessments, Medicare, Medicaid reimbursements. We're going to ask our health commissioner, Dr. Tom Farley, and I knew when I saw your wonderful company back there that you had to be close by. Clerk, will you read the title of this 19044 amendment bill?
190440, an ordinance amending Chapter 19-3500 of the Philadelphia Code entitled Hospital Assessments to revise provisions relating to hospital assessments and authorizing the Department of Public Health to enter into an intergovernmental agreement with the Commonwealth Department of Human Services relating to such hospital assessments, all under certain terms and conditions.
Thank you. Feel free to identify yourself for the record and begin your testimony.
Okay. Good morning, Chair Blackwell and council members. I'm Dr. Tom Farley, and I serve as Health Commissioner. Joining me today is Sammy Jarrah, Chief Operating Officer of the Health Department. I'm pleased to say a few words about my support for Bill number 19044 related to the Philadelphia Hospital Assessment. First, a little background. The purpose of this ordinance is to renew an existing assessment that has been in place since 2009. Past Philadelphia City Councils approved this ordinance with strong support, and I hope you will too. This assessment allows the city and state to generate federal Medicaid matching funds for a program that brings federal money to Philadelphia. As you know, Medicaid is the program that provides health insurance to people with low or no income. This ordinance mirrors enabling state legislation that is expected to pass in Harrisburg in June. Next, I want to talk about who benefits from the hospital assessment. First, the hospitals benefit. Overall, hospitals receive more federal Medicaid matching funding each year than they would without this assessment. These are federal dollars that would otherwise not flow into our city. As you know, our hospitals are large employers and provide critical health services for low-income Philadelphians. This assessment has broad support from our city's hospitals and has had such support for many years. The hospitals have expressed their support this year as well, and there are several letters of support from hospitals that may not have come in time for you to see, but we have them if you're interested in seeing them. Second, the city's health department also benefits. This assessment provides funding annually to the city's health centers and other public health programs in the city. This helps us defray the cost of administering the assessment and provides funding that increases our ability to serve the very same patients who benefit from Medicaid, those living in poverty. But most importantly, Philadelphians living in poverty benefit. They benefit from having better access to health care when they need it. This assessment has the strong support and approval from our state's legislature, as well as the Federal Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, or CMS. I'd like to add my strong support also. Thank you for considering this ordinance. I'm happy to answer any of your questions.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any testimony? You're fine?
No.
Thank you very much. We're glad you're here. Any questions? Thank you very much. We now note that we also have written testimony from Catherine E. Levins, Temple University Health System, Mark Costner, Chestnut Hill Hospital, Barry R. Friedman, Einstein Healthcare Network, Stephen K. Klasko, Thomas Jefferson University, Kathleen Lally, Kensington Hospital, Susan Kuzak, Mercy Philadelphia Hospital, Michael Magro Jr., Nazareth Hospital, and Christopher P. Beck, Penn Medicine. Our last person to testify, unless someone else is here who would like to, is Bill Ryan, Einstein Healthcare. Any questions for the commissioner? Okay. Bill Ryan, Einstein Healthcare Network. Unless there is a question, this will be our last person to testify. Thank you.
I like being the last one. Good morning. Thank you for the opportunity. As stated, I'm Bill Ryan from Einstein Healthcare Network. I serve as the Assistant Vice President for Government Relations and Public Affairs. Einstein was the only hospital in the Commonwealth in 2008 that stood up and said, we support this assessment when this first started happening. We are enthusiastically supporting this reauthorization again. This is a benefit to not only our facility, but hospitals across the city, and we believe it is an important way to deliver care to a key constituency. One thing we did want to highlight, there are hospitals in this city that serve a high rate of Medicaid patients. It is difficult for organizations like an Einstein, where 86% of our population or patients are on a public plan, either through Medicare or Medicaid. It is hard for us to cross-subsidize because both of those programs underpay. So we are very reliant on this type of funding as well as other supplemental fundings. We are encouraged that the city is doing this. We would encourage you to look for other options as well to help benefit high Medicaid hospitals. And the reason is, from where we sit in this building, that 8-mile stretch up North Broad Street to the Montgomery County line, there are 286,000 people residing who are on Medicaid. The total population of Pittsburgh, by comparison, is 302,000. That's the whole city. So the 8-mile stretch, we all know, has numerous economic challenges, some of the deepest poverty in the country. Those facilities that serve that population continually face challenges with the social determinants of health. We would encourage the city to explore additional ways to leverage these dollars. We do want to thank the City Council, the Kenny administration, and especially the Health Commissioner for all their efforts in getting us this far. We hope for a final passage and encourage you to support it. And thank you for the opportunity to comment.
Thank you very much. Any questions for this witness?
Thank you.
Councilwoman Bass.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I don't have a question, but I just wanted to make a comment. And we authorized this bill back in, I want to say, 2017, the last authorization of it. And, you know, one of the things as a chair of Health and Human Services that we've been doing is, you know, really going out and directly seeing what's happening in our medical community here in Philadelphia. And we've been to several institutions so far. We intend to hit them all. But among them is CHOP and Temple Hospital, obviously, and Fox Chase Cancer Center, and there's some others. I'm not going to name them all. And I know that Einstein is certainly on the list. But I think one of the things that we haven't recognized is that with the closures of a number of different medical facilities, Women's Medical and the old Germantown Hospital and other hospitals that have closed, there's been a ripple effect. And so the hospitals that we have are handling patient loads that they were not intended to handle. And many of those folks are folks who rely on Medicaid for assistance. So I just really wanted to applaud you all for the work that you're doing in the Health Department and the Health Commissioner and all of his staff for all of the hard work that you're doing, because this is not an easy fix. There is no easy fix to all of this. And so I just really wanted to say thank you for all of the work that you're doing, and it certainly is recognized. We certainly do know about it and want to be of assistance to you in any way, shape, or form possible. So thank you.
We appreciate that and look forward to working with you on a lot of different endeavors.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We also agree. Any other questions or comments? Anyone else here would like to testify? Is there? Thank you very much. That will end our hearing. We will now begin our stated meeting. And the chair recognizes Councilman Greenlee for a motion on amendments to bill numbers 190358, 190412, and 190440.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I offer amendments to bill numbers 190358, 190412, and 190440. Copy of the amendment has been circulated to the members, and I move the adoption of the amendments.
It has been moved and properly seconded that the amendments to bill numbers 190358, 190412, and 190440 be approved. All those in favor of the motion will signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Well, the motion carries, and bill numbers 190358, 190412, and 190440 have been amended. The chair again recognizes Councilman Greenlee for a motion on bill numbers 190338, 190412, and 190440 as amended.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move that bill numbers 190358, 190412, and 190440 as amended be reported from this committee with favorable recommendation, and further move that rules of council be suspended to permit first reading of these bills at our next session of council.
Give me a second. I have a second. It has been moved and properly seconded that bill numbers 190358, 190412, and 190440 as amended be reported from this committee with a favorable recommendation, and further move that the rules of council be suspended so as to permit first reading of these bills at the next session of council. All those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and motion carries, and bill numbers 190358, 190412, and 190440 as amended will be reported from this committee with a favorable recommendation and a request that the rules of council be suspended so as to permit first reading at our next session of council. The chair now recognizes Councilman Greenlee for a motion on bill numbers 190229, 190383, 190384, 190385, 190431, 190432, 190433, 190439, 19041, and 19042.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move that bill numbers 190229, 190383, 190384, 190385, 190431, 190432, 190433, 190439, 190441, and 190442 be reported from this committee with favorable recommendation, and move that the rules of council be suspended to permit first reading of these bills at our next session of council.
It has been moved and properly seconded that bill numbers 190229, 190383, 190384, 190385, 190431, 190432, 190433, 190439, 190441, and 190442 be reported from this committee with a favorable recommendation, and further move that the rules of council be suspended so as to permit first reading of these bills at the next session of council. All those in favor of the motion will signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The motion carries, and bill numbers 190229, 190383, 190384, 190385, 190431, 190432, 190433, 190439, 190441, and 190442 will be reported from this committee with a favorable recommendation and a request that the rules of council be suspended so as to permit first reading at the next section of council. Session of council, I said section. That will conclude our hearing. I thank you all for being here. We got it done by 12, and we are grateful. Thank you all. Meeting is adjourned.